During the Shadowlands, we get very little mention of the Titans or how they relate to the Eternal Ones. Dragonflight will be much more focused on the Titans, but that doesn't mean we shouldn't take a closer look at Shadowlands and how the big shot Titan himself, Aman'thul, actually influenced Shadowlands in a great part. In the last couple of expansions we have seen that there is some amount of overlap within the 6 cosmological forces. The Winter Queen from the Shadowlands is a sister to Elune, who belongs in the Pantheon of Life. Ionar, a Titan, was seen in Elunaria where she hid from Sargeras. Ionar's powers are also more life-based than order-based, and she wouldn't be seen as out of place in the Pantheon of Life. They are not only shown to know about each other, but be related to each other and help each other out all the time. But what if I told you that we have some evidence of another Titan dealing in the affairs of the Shadowlands? The Primus is the leader of the Necrolords of Maldraxxus, which serve as the main line of defense of the Shadowlands. Throughout the eons they honed their skills, weeded out the weak, and became one of the greatest and strongest armies the cosmos has ever seen. Their leader would of course be a creature of immense strategic and tactical skills, and Primus does embody that. It is said that the Primus can anticipate the outcome of every battle even if you change the variables to the smallest degrees. The Grimoire of the Shadowlands even goes as far as to say that every loss the Primus ever suffered was not because of any error of his, but because of cold calculation of the best outcome. This can be disputed because at the end of Shadowlands, the expansion, Primus does say that he regrets how domination magic turned out. This can be argued with by saying that maybe he said this because of appearances to the champions of Azeroth, who did just defeat Zovaal, one of the Eternal Ones, but it's hard to say. Either way, this is not just some genius calculation on the Primus's part. I'm sure you have heard about this interview at this point as it has been discussed to death before, but it was said that the Primus sought out the help of an ally who could show him the infinite time ways, where he could look at the same battle again and again with the slightest differences, and see how those differences would affect the outcome of said battle. Many people instantly assumed it was talking about Murozond and the Infinite Dragonflight, or maybe the Bronze Dragonflight, and I could see how you could head in that direction of thinking, but I don't really think that is true. It's hard to believe that the Infinite Dragonflight would want to help the Primus in any way, shape or form, simply because they don't really have any reason to. Not only that, but we don't really have any evidence of dragons knowing about the other pantheons that much, let alone how to contact one of the Eternal Ones. The more likely candidate is the leader of the Pantheon of Order, the Titan Aman'thul, who even might be related to the Primus. Aman'thul is the Titan in charge of time. Time has been said to be an aspect of arcane magic, and Titans are nothing more than sentient arcane magic, really. If Primus needed someone to show him the time ways, there would be no better candidate than Aman'thul. If Winter Queen and Elune are sisters, it's really not that far-fetched to maybe even see some relation between Aman'thul and the Primus. If you look at them, they kinda look like the same guy. I mean, look at those pristine beards. It doesn't really matter if they are brothers or not, but what does matter is that if this is true, it would point to the Titans meddling in the affairs of the Shadowlands. The Necrolords, as chaotic as they are, still bring order to the Shadowlands, something that the Titans are trying to do throughout the Great Dark Beyond. If the Primus has this ability to anticipate every outcome, and if Aman'thul was the one who showed him how to do this, then Aman'thul probably possesses this ability as well. You could ask why he allowed everything to happen the way it did, but everything that was done since Sargeras' betrayal led to the defeat of forces of disorder. Disorder is barely even a factor now in the grand scheme of things, and that's probably what Aman'thul wanted. This would of course leave the forces of Void up in the air, but I imagine that the champions of Azeroth and maybe even Azeroth herself would deal with it at some point. Maybe this is the best possible timeline of events, and every little change might have led to Sargeras' victory, Zovaal's victory, or even Azeroth's death. Zovaal may have been a bigger threat in the eyes of Aman'thul because Zovaal specifically targeted Azeroth, which was called the Final Titan a few times, meaning that after her there may not be any more Titans out there in the Great Dark Beyond. Void would send its old gods across the cosmos, randomly attaching to planets, but Zovaal had a clear plan of siphoning the world soul of Azeroth, which would surely kill it. Not only that, he then wanted to use the power of her world soul to reshape reality as he saw fit, and that wouldn't really be something that would follow the will of the first ones, as Zovaal didn't really hold them in the highest regard. So then, risking the dangers of the Void, the Aman'thul would let events shape out as they did, and they would lead to Zaval's and Sargeras' defeat. Void would be the last force opposed to Order standing, but that battle would be left in the hands of Champions of Azeroth and the Primus, who in this case would be sort of Aman'thul's protege, who would then lead the fight against the Void. If that comic that came out before Legion is to be believed, the fight against Void will take place well into the future, where aged Anduin and Velen would lead the charge against them. It's hard to say if this is still canon, there has been nothing to say that it isn't, but having an event such as a war against the Void be a fixed plot point in the future might mess with any new stories that Blizzard may plan to tell, so it might be retconned as Anduin's dream or something. Whatever the case, a battle with Void is coming in the future for sure, and I imagine that Primus will be involved in some way. We are already allies with him, and Void hasn't exactly been a friend to the Shadowlands, as there was a war between Death and Void eons ago, and Void is very scared of Death, as seen in the Three Sisters comic book. All that is stuff for the future. Let me know your theories and questions in the comment section below. Like this video if you enjoyed the talk, and subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. See you in the next one. Peace.